Good evening. My name's Jason Delisle. I'm president of Speedway Town Council. It is 7:01 on November 25th, and I call this meeting to order. We'll first start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, with quick introductions, to my right is our town manager, Grant Kleinhaus.
Good evening.
Town councilor, Sarah Gardner.
Good evening.
Councilor Sean Harold.
Good evening.
Our town attorney, Ted Nolting.
Good evening.
Our clerk treasurer, Philip Faust.
Good evening.
Councilor Vince Noblet.
Good evening.
And our vice president, Nick Sturgeon.
Good evening.
All right. First item is approval of minutes from our October 28th, 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve our minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second it.
All right, any comments or questions regarding minutes? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving our minutes from the October 28th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item is approval of memorandum of the administrative session of the Speedway Town Council on October 28th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum of administrative session of the Speedway Town Council on October 28th, 2024.
I'll second.
All right, any questions or comments? I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving our memorandum of our administrative session of the Speedway Town Council on October 28th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item is a proclamation honoring Speedway resident Robert E. Holland in recognition of his 100th birthday. I'll read our proclamation here. Whereas it is with, oh, there it is right there. I don't know if we have, if we can get that on. Yeah. It's framed. Whereas it is with great joy and admiration that we gather to celebrate the remarkable milestone of Speedway resident Robert E. Holland, who today, November 25th, 2024, marks a century of life, wisdom, and enduring contributions to his community. And whereas Robert served in the United States Army during World War II until he was honorably discharged in 1946. And whereas, in addition to his military service, Mr. Holland has lived a life filled with love, wisdom, and dedication to his family. His wife, Jeannie Yarling, and two children, Tim Yarling and Kim Scheller. And whereas Robert dedicated 40 years to the Bell Telephone Ameritech Corporation, where his contributions to the telecommunications industry helped connect countless individuals and businesses throughout the state. And whereas the citizens of the town of Speedway and the Speedway Town Council wish Mr. Holland a very happy birthday and would like to express their sincere gratitude and appreciation for this achievement, which is a testament to his enduring spirit and serves as an inspiration to future generations to live with purpose and gratitude. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Speedway Town Council does hereby proclaim the 25th day of November 2024 as Robert E. Holland Day in the town of Speedway. It's adopted this 25th day of November 2024 by the Speedway Town Council.
Thank you. Yeah, great.
Very cool. Thank you for being here tonight, too. All right, our next item is request for Light the Night on December 4th, 2024, and Tammy Smith is here with some more information.
Good evening. This would have been requested at the last town council meeting, but due to Veterans Day, we didn't have it, so I wanted to make it official. I know you're all aware of it. We've got our annual event, Light the Night, coming up on Wednesday, December 4th. The event time is 5:30 to 7:30. We are requesting road closure to begin at 3 o'clock, as we've done in the past. The road closure will affect Main Street just between Gilman and 13th Streets. Neither of those streets will be closed. Gilman will be opened to the south and 13th to the north. 12th Street at Main would be the only other one affected that would be closed to Main Street. So I'm requesting approval for the closure for this annual event for the safety of the visitors coming. We do a lot of activities outside as well as inside. In addition to that request, we have also had another request from Dave Wilson, the new Santa shop. He is wanting to have the opportunity to do carriage rides on Main Street that day. That evening, kind of in conjunction with Light the Night. It will not be at our end where the road will be closed. I've already talked to Deputy Chief Dine and Deputy Chief Alexander regarding this, and they said if Town Council approved it, they were fine with it. The route would be 15th Street to Auburn to 14th and back to Main. People would get on and off the carriage out in front of his shop in the bicycle walking lane. It wouldn't affect the sidewalk nor the parking spaces. The carriage driver and horse and all that, they do carriage rides downtown, so they're familiar with traffic. They have insurance certificate. We do have an insurance certificate. It actually expires November 15th. They are aware if this is approved, they will get me an updated one. We received that because they were going to be in the hometown parade. So that's the second request for Light the Night as well. So road closure and carriage ride requests.
I'll make a motion that we approve Tammy's request for Light the Night on December the 4th. Also approval for the carriage rides. I think that would be add a hometown feel, a Speedway hometown feel to that night. And I know that a lot of parents bring their kids down there, and that just adds to the ambiance in the night. So,
Yeah, I'll second. Yeah, I'll second.
All right, any questions for Tammy regarding Light the Night and the carriage rides?
Is Santa coming in a,
Yes, Santa is not in the race car, but I do believe Santa will be arriving on a sleigh this year.
okay,
At Main Street, he will be arriving at Delara at 5:30, so make sure you're there lining the streets prior to 5:30.
Tammy, could I ask you to say the road closure?
The Main Street between Gilman and 13th Streets, so 12th Street will be closed at Main, and then Main between Gilman and 13th will be closed.
Thank you.
The business that affects the most would probably be PRI because their parking lot is in that affected area. Cheryl will let them know about that as we do every year, and they usually have their employees either park outside that area or I believe the last 2 years they've actually let them go home early that day. So maybe they'll get lucky and get a leave early that day.
Thank you, Tammy.
All right, if there are no more comments or questions for Tammy, I'll call for a vote. All those approving the request for Light the Night on December 4th, along with carriage rides, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you, Tammy.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is Ordinance 1401 regarding additional appropriations. This is our first reading. Philip?
Yes, thank you. It's at that time of year. This will be our first reading, and we will follow it with a second reading at a subsequent meeting that will also have a public hearing. And it's a possibility that between first and second reading, there might be some amendment to this as we continue to crunch the numbers. But right now, it's looking like we would be asking for approximately, we'll be asking for $35,000 for the fire department. A large chunk of this has to do with, we did have a member participate in a task force related to disaster relief. And so we do get reimbursed for that money, but you still have to appropriate the expenditure there. So that's a large part of that there. For the street department, asking for $500,000. This might go up depending upon what additional work gets finished by the end of the year. But again, here, this is not the street department going hog wild. We receive a community crossings grant after the budget is finalized, so we need to appropriate. Again, this is money that's come into us, and then we can spend it, but we need to appropriate it properly. And then storm sewer, you kind of had a recurring refrain from Grant and I over the last year about, the expenses that we have for storm sewer and how that continues to grow. And here we've had some additional repairs and work that need to be taken care of. And so we would be asking for that money as well. No vote today, but happy to entertain any questions you might have.
All right. Thank you, Philip.
I would like,
That's the next one.
next one, no, okay. I'd like to make a motion that we,
Well, this
oh,
is,
this is the first reading.
Yes,
This is the first
yeah,
reading, yeah, sorry.
all right, so that was ordinance 1401. Moving to ordinance 1402, which is appropriating funds to Leopardo Energy PLC for the purchase of equipment in relation to the provision of energy conservation measures. Philip?
Similar to our last ordinance, this one does not have to go through the exact same procedures, but so it does not have to have a public hearing. If the council were inclined, you could unanimously consent to pass this in one reading and then follow that up with a vote on the appropriation itself. This is tied to the next item, which is a contract for this energy savings project that we have talked about repeatedly. And it is my understanding from Leopardo that we need to spend a 20% down payment by the end of the year in order to fulfill the requirements for the Inflation Reduction Act's tax credit that we're hoping to secure. And so this appropriation would allow us to spend that down payment by the end of the year so we could move forward. I think as the council knows, I am not a fan of this project itself, but to help facilitate going forward, this is the next step that you would need to do for those of you that are interested in moving that way. So it'd be unanimous consent and then another vote on the actual ordinance.
All right, I'd like to make a motion and ask for unanimous consent to approve on first reading.
I'll second.
All right, any questions or comments regarding the unanimous consent on ordinance 1402? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1402 by unanimous consent, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? So that passes 5-0. And now we need to,
Yeah,
we
I'll
need to-
make a motion
motion
that
for the
we
ordinance.
approve ordinance 1402, appropriating funds to Leopardo Energy PLC for the purchase of equipment in relation to the provision of energy conservation measures.
I'll second that.
All right. Any questions or comments regarding ordinance 1402
Yeah, I'd like to
itself?
have, Grant, can you just kind of revisit and maybe inform
Sure.
some of the, the public?
Some of the highlights.
Yeah.
So item number 7 and 8 are in essence for the same project. So if you remember, we met with the Leopardo group starting in, I think our earliest meeting was April, give or take, after the council had taken their seats. They had identified a project at our wastewater plant where they could install a generator that would use our own methane from our own effluent and waste from the community to generate the energy required to heat certain buildings and facilities down there and create the energy to do that. We felt this was a good project because the savings that are garnered from not using natural gas from, say, citizens and using our own is significant savings. There's also some purchasing contracts that we can get and benefits from Leopardo Group as well as this inflation reduction tax credit from the federal government. I would say without that inflation tax reduction credit, it would not cash flow. But with those three things combined, the project does cash flow and will in essence be a net neutral project over the next 15 years. This is a 15-year payback with a couple of scheduled maintenance, basically rewiring of the pumps and the generators and doing those things. But this is a guaranteed energy savings contract. So if Leopardo Group, the commitment they've gave us is if we don't save the money that they've agreed that we're going to save, they will pay the difference. And that's an annual audit that is done. Our books will be reviewed. Those costs will be reviewed. This is a very progressive program. I've used this in a couple of other communities. Most recently in Illinois, we did some water meters, a project about 5 times this size, but saved enough money to pay for the debt service on that project, and this is a similar style of project. So we're being energy efficient, we're being green, reducing our carbon footprint, taking advantage of a resource that currently, as I've shared with the council, is just being burned off. So we're going to capture that and reuse it to then do our stuff that we need to do at the wastewater plant. And I'm not going to go into the details of what that is because it's kind of not for everybody, but it's something we have to do, and we're now kind of capturing that to the fullest extent and being more efficient with it. I think it's a great step for us.
Thank you.
I will kind of echo what Philip had said. I still have my reservations about the numbers on this, but knowing that we need to get these milestones hit, want to make sure that this project is successful. So that is just want to make those comments there. That just want to make sure we do get this through, so we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or comments regarding ordinance 1402? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1402, which appropriates funds to Leopardo Energy, PLLC, for the purchase of equipment in relation to the provision of energy conservation measures, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item is ordinance 1403, which establishes jobs and salaries, wages.
One item before that.
We skipped number 8.
Oh, do we need to approve the
We need to
contract
actually
as well?
approve that separately, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's back up to number 8 here. So number 8 is approval of our guaranteed energy savings contract with Leopardo Group. Grant, do you have anything additional you want to add?
The only other comment I want to make is our town attorney has reviewed this. There's been several rounds going back and forth. We believe this is in our best interest. It's a good deal for us, and we recommend approval of the contract.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the guaranteed energy savings contract with Leopardo Group.
I'll second it.
All right. Any questions or comments regarding the contract? I'll call for a vote then. All in favor of approving our guaranteed energy savings contract with Leopardo Group, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes 5-0.
And Mr. President, before you move on to the next one, if you could go ahead and add a motion for the invoice that was attached. We couldn't put it on the claims sheet that we'll have at the end because we didn't have the contract yet, but if we want to pay this as soon as possible, if you can approve a claim to Leopardo in the amount of $400,264.20, that would allow me to move forward this week on that.
What was that total again?
$400,264.20.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve our claim for Leopardo Group?
I'll make a motion to approve the claim for $400,264.20 for the Leopardo Group.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions or comments regarding the claim? I'll call for a vote then. All in favor of approving our claim with Leopardo Group for $400,264.20. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you, Philip, for
Thank
keeping
you.
us on track there.
Anything else for the old Leopardo?
Yeah,
Last call for Leopardo.
sounds like a Italian.
Okay, now, ordinance 1403, which establishes jobs and salaries, wages, and compensation to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Speedway, Indiana for the year 2025, and repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith. Philip?
Yes, thank you. This will be first reading, so again, no vote on this one. But you know, our salary ordinance typically contains a few pages of it's more like a Word document, deals with sort of universal things like different accreditations, pays, and longevity, and retirement, and things like that. And then the meat of it is the exhibit, which goes through and shows you sort of base compensation. So this would be pre-certification pay for some people, or pre-longevity, things like that. So this is their base pay, and you have one column that shows you what that base pay could not exceed this year, and then what it would not exceed next year, as I'm proposing it in here. And then you have some additional comments on this on the side there. So again, no vote on this one today, and to the extent that there are changes that would need to be contemplated in the interim between this and the next hearing on it, we could make adjustments to it. Happy to entertain any questions.
All right. I'll make a motion that we,
I don't think.
oh, no, that's a
Yeah, first
I
reading.
will eventually, by the time I get out of here, I will get that.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
just get on
That's okay, yeah.
a train or get locked in.
Any
lot to
other
keep
questions
straight.
regarding ordinance 1403 for Philip? Thank you, Philip. Okay, our next item is approval of the Hendricks Regional Health Orthopedic Services Agreement. Philip?
Thank you. So this is something I'm excited to bring to the council, as you know, I'm preaching all the time as we are, as we've moved to self-insurance and as we're looking forward, we have to constantly be looking for the next adaptation that we can make to counter, you know, the very powerful forces of the insurance companies and the drug companies and even the service providers, and we have to be constantly adapting to that. This is the first of what I envision may be multiple direct contracts that I would bring to your attention over time. This is with Hendricks Regional Health. They have an orthopedic center of excellence, and in basic terms, when you have a direct contract with a provider, it's saying that outside of our insurance structure, we are going to pay you directly for services that are contained within here, and we agree to pay you quickly, and you know that you're going to get paid with more certainty than, say, you know, a lot of healthcare providers spend a lot of money and time tracking down payments from people. It's protracted. Going through the insurance process itself is lengthy, so it provides them a lot of certainty and that they know that it's going to happen quickly. On our end, then, they are going to tie a lot of routine services, as I would say, so like maybe a knee surgery or a hip surgery or something like that they deal with there at the Orthopedic Center of Excellence, to a certain percentage compared to Medicare reimbursement rates. So the federal government gets really good rates because they have huge bargaining power. We're not going to get those rates, unfortunately, but the idea is that we will realize substantial savings over what we would pay through our general insurance program. The structure of it is then that hopefully some of those savings can even get passed on to our employees who participate in the program, which is completely voluntary. If they have their own preferred surgeon or whatnot. They don't have to go through this program. But Hendricks Regional also has a good reputation and appears to have good results with the sort of orthopedic services that we're looking at. Looking at our insurance group, our population, this seemed like the first low-hanging fruit to go for in terms of services. So if we're thinking along a timeline, if I was predicting we might start here, if this goes well, we might look at a cardiovascular program somewhere else, and then maybe down the line we would look at there are some programs that deal with cancers and other types of diseases and things like that. But looking at our profile, this is some low-hanging fruit where we could really find some savings for us and the employees. So I'm excited about it. Happy to answer any questions you have about it. I guess the other thing is there's no upfront cost to us, so we're agreeing to this structure with them. But if people don't utilize it, it's not like we're having to pay money every year.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Hendricks Regional Health Orthopedic Service Agreement.
I'll second.
All right, any questions regarding our approval for Philip?
Yeah, Philip, then how would an employee get compensated for a procedure that would take place? It would have to take place at Hendricks County, I take it?
Yes, sir.
And then they would have to notify them prior and give them an advance when the doctor, I guess?
Precisely. It's going to be very important, and we're going to have to educate our employees on this repeatedly, especially as new employees come in. That's very important that they signal or notify their provider that they are going through this program so that it gets billed correctly, because they don't want it to go through their regular insurance or they won't realize the savings from it.
Yeah.
And then as far as, obviously I haven't had one go through yet, but the idea is that there will be joint savings that will then be reflected in an additional amount that would go on their pay stub if they elect to go through this program.
So does it go on their pay stub, not like an HSA account?
That-
What it's saying?
It'll be interesting once I see everything
Okay.
actually implemented, but as it's been represented to me, that's the path that
Wow.
we would go through.
That's huge. Okay.
And what are we talking about as far as some of these?
Yeah, so if you look at the exhibit at the end, I see a lot of 750, a lot of 1500s, depending on the different services there. So, I guess a nice bonus, if you're having to deal with some of these things anyways, and we can get you to some place that has a good reputation and good outcomes, save the town money, save you some money, then hopefully it's a good deal all around.
But it's important to note that this is voluntary, right? It's not
Yes.
like we're saying you must go to, it's, if you want to save a little bit of money and also get paid a little bit of money, you'll use this provider, and they have a good reputation, so
No, that's accurate.
it's a win-win.
If you like your doctor and you don't want to do this, it's completely your choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to thank you, Philip, for bringing this to us. I think this is great, proactive versus reactive, and I think I'm excited to see kind of how people take advantage of it and how it works and run the numbers in a year and see, you keep saying next steps, and yeah, I think this is cool.
Yeah, just providing more options
Yeah.
for our employees. I think
Yeah.
it's great.
It's a great incentive.
And working in the healthcare industry, I know some of the medium and smaller providers love these, again, for Philip's reasons. They know they're going to get paid in a timely manner. I can tell you the rev cycle folks that deal with getting money back from insurance companies or patients, it's a big part of the job. So I think it benefits them, but it also, looking on the benefits for our employees, I think are very positive.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, if there are no more comments or questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving our agreement with Hendricks Regional Health Orthopedic Services, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item is memorandum of understanding between the town of Speedway and the Speedway Public Library. Philip?
So this will be the second year of having the letter or the memorandum in this format. Library was on our insurance when we were fully insured, and they have a small population. It's bounces around 7 or 8 employees that are on the insurance at any given time. So from their perspective, this is very helpful to them, because if you have to try to get an insurance plan for 7 or 8 people, it can often be really costly. From our perspective, there's two things. One, obviously, we view the town holistically. We approve the library's budget. We think about them maybe more closely than other towns that are set up differently. But also, I do check in to make sure that this is not proving to be a burden or an undue risk on our plan, and that is something that, the realities are we'll have to keep tabs on that and make sure that at least so far through our self-insurance plan, it's been a net positive for us. This memorandum is the same as last year. It's just updating the rates that the library will pay into the self-insurance fund for us. So I would recommend it for your approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum of understanding between the town of Speedway and the Speedway Public Library.
I'll second it.
All right, any questions or comments? All right, I'll call for a vote then. All those in favor of approving our memorandum of understanding between the town of Speedway and the Speedway Public Library, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item is ordinance 1396, which authorizes and regulates the use of motorized golf carts in the town of Speedway, Indiana. Grant?
Yes, so this is our third and final reading. More often than not, we just do 2 readings on ordinances, but at the last meeting, there was a discrepancy on the ordinance that was presented. I will point out that change. That is found under section 10.7.02, golf cart operation, under section I. Operation of golf carts should not be allowed on the day of a racing event until 4 hours after the conclusion of same racing event. These prohibited events will include only the Indianapolis 500, Grand Prix, and Brickyard 400, our larger racing events. So that's the only change. The rest was discussed, I know, the previous 2 readings. So I'll answer any questions that the council might have, but this ordinance in its form on third reading will be the ordinance that is in full force and effect. The ordinance will take effect on January 1, so please don't start driving your golf carts on town streets until the ordinance is officially official.
In relation, so let's make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1396, an ordinance to authorize and regulate the use of motorized golf carts in the town of Speedway, Indiana, on our third reading.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just got a question, Grant. We got a lot, there's a lot of information here in order to make those golf carts compliant to the town speedway. So I take it that we're going to be publishing, where they can get a hold of information. Is going to be on our website, whatever.
Yeah, once it's approved tonight, we'll work with Cheryl McElroy, our communications manager, as well as Philip's office, who will be issuing those permits, to get that information added to our website. We'll probably do a couple of different press releases, email blasts, that kind of thing, so that people are aware of what those rules are.
Okay.
Yeah, and golf carts need to be certified before they can actually be driven on the road.
Yes, yeah, they need to, yep.
We'll begin that after, in the new year, I guess.
Yep. I know it was asked, can we start doing that before? The reality of the year with holidays is I think it's best to wait. So January the 2nd, we expect thousands of people to come and get their golf cart. Yeah, the 15 or 20 or whatever that ends up doing it. I do want to, I want to encourage people to follow the rules. I think this is an approval of an ordinance by the council. This will be monitored annually. Identified problems that arise, we'll bring those back to you for either amendments or changes. And if it's not followed, there's a possibility that the council will, I think, retract that. So incumbent upon people to really follow those rules, learn them, keep in compliance and don't try to do something that is getting around our ordinances. So
I just had one thought, or I guess, so the cross, there's the map with the
Yep.
crossing. The one that I guess didn't realize was Lyndhurst and Crawfordsville.
yeah, it can be used, but the ordinance kind of calls out that we would prefer people use the side streets, but in certain circumstances, it can be
That they
used.
are allowed.
Yeah, because you'll notice Lyndhurst is prohibited,
And both streets are.
but if you live and you can't get to there's just certain circumstances that's going to be a problem.
I just feel like that intersection.
It is, it's very dangerous.
very dangerous.
100%. If we want to amend that, we can take that off.
I don't know. I mean,
It was discussed and it was a concern, but if we want to just direct people to the Winton,
that's what I would
we just need to amend the
feel,
ordinance
but
and
I
say,
don't
take
know
that
what
part out.
You all would, I mean, there's like, I would feel more comfortable not letting golf carts
Got it.
through that intersection, but I don't know how you all feel.
Why don't we do this?
If we need to do another.
If we're okay with the amendments as presented in this document, let's pass
And
this
then let's
ordinance,
just
and then
look
we
at
can
it,
continue
review it.
that discussion
That's fair.
and see what
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, any other comments or questions regarding our golf cart ordinance? All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1396, which authorizes and regulates the use of motorized golf carts in the town of Speedway, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. All right, our next item is ordinance 1399, which amends water and sewers and cross connections. Grant?
Yeah, so this is the second and final reading on this ordinance. I know that Nancy Cho from Wessler presented this to you end of October. We haven't met for a while. This is a required item by IDEM. Anybody that uses our water system, if you're a commercial user, you have to have an approved backflow preventer. This ordinance kind of goes through that language, what's required, the inspections, the upkeep, all of those things that need to be done. And this is something, protecting our water source is a very important. If you get something in your line and it gets into the main line, then everybody has to deal with that problem. So this is just a clarification of that process, and we recommend approval. And there is some more steps to this. We've got to send letters out, get the businesses. I think we have 460 businesses that will need to go through this process. Doesn't mean they're going to have to spend a lot of money, but we've got to get on site and have those things looked at and checked out.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1399 and ordinance amending water and sewer cross connections.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments regarding ordinance 1399? All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1399, which amends water and sewers and cross connections, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item is ordinance 1400. An ordinance amending the fees for the collection of trash, recycling, and yard waste. Grant?
Yes, so this item is a second reading. There also is a public hearing involved with this. I'll kind of give a summary, and then we'll need to open that public hearing, hear folks, and then close that out. So as is identified in the ordinance under chapter 6.39 under fees, the charge that the town is proposing for our new solid waste contract with Waste Management is $16.75 per month. That includes the trash and recycling, but also the landscape waste. Now, remember, landscape waste is picked up by the town, and we dispose of that. There are costs with that, so all told, this is going, Brian, if you want to show that chart, our current rate is $11.70. It's been that way for quite a while. Our proposed rate, according to this ordinance, is $16.75. We are entering into, with the next item, the contract we are entering into a 10-year agreement with Waste Management. That contract every single year has a slight escalator. So this item will need to be brought back to the town council either annually or for a period of 2 or 3 or 4 years, but it will have to be revisited every time, or the town will be absorbing those costs from the dollars that we receive. This is a service that you as a resident would pay if we didn't have a contract. You would contract with whoever and you would pay that monthly fee. We're doing the similar thing, but we're doing it in a group. That chart that Brian showed you, it kind of compares us to about half a dozen other communities. We actually got a very favorable rate and a very favorable bid, I think, because people do their trash here right. They don't take advantage of it. We also collect landscape waste, which takes some weight and heaviness out of those cans. And I think because of that, we got a decent cost increase. We were worried that it would be $8 to $10 more per month. So we're nowhere near that, and I think we got a good deal with this. So we recommend approval of this, but we do need to open that public hearing. And then I'll answer any questions that you have as well.
Okay. I think we can go public hearing, right? We don't think we need a motion for, okay, yeah. So it is 7:42, and I'll open our public hearing for ordinance 1400. If you want to make a comment, you can approach the podium and make a comment about our ordinance if you have any questions. All right, if there are no questions, we will close our public hearing at 7:42. All right, now I believe we need a motion for ordinance 1400.
Can I ask a question before, or do you want to do that first?
Let's do our.
You should have a motion first, yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1400, an ordinance amending the fees for the collection of trash, recycle, and yard waste on our second reading.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Grant, just my question.
Yes.
Does a resident have an option to opt out of that, or is that an automatic charge? Like if someone's not living in the home, or I don't know.
If it's a
why.
residence, it will be charged.
Regardless.
Yep,
as to
regardless.
whether you bring a
Yep.
trash, okay,
Yep,
okay. Thank you.
yep. And this is not for commercial, it's
Right,
only for
just
residential
residents.
units. So if you have like a duplex or an apartment complex, this
Yeah.
is not covering that.
Yes, okay. That makes sense.
One other question, Grant, in relationship to, I know a lot of residents have multiple waste cans, both for brush and just regular trash. Is there additional charge associated with that, or is that just?
If it's a
straight?
reasonable amount, there's no additional charge, but when you start putting extra items, big bulky items, then there will be. We do have an extra overage bag that can be done for free. That was negotiated in the contract, but if you start putting whatever, half a ton of stuff, they're going to charge you.
Yeah,
for that.
I've seen, there's some residents, so it's
Yeah.
almost like a commercial where they're getting by with putting 4 and 5 trash cans out
Right,
at a
right.
time, and from that standpoint.
And it also includes recycling. So if you have recycling and trash and you actually separate that, you should not have a problem keeping to those couple of cans. But if you have a large family, yeah, you might need an extra
Right.
can.
Okay, thank you.
Just make a comment. I know nobody likes having an increase in their bill. I'm paying this, would be paying this just like everybody else. But if you just point out Avon, I mean, where they're direct contracting with this service, $16.75 doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah, $30, I think, is what their cost is.
I don't think that includes yard waste either.
Nope.
Yeah, it's just trash.
Recycling, it's just trash.
You know, and once again, 3,500 customers agglomerated together gives a better price, right? But if you each do it separately, you're gonna pay more.
Yeah.
So this is a good deal, I think, for our residents. Yes, it's more than it has been, but the costs have gone up.
Right.
Cost of fuel, the cost of labor, the equipment. And Waste Management is familiar with our routes. Nothing's going to change in that regard. The rules will generally be the same. We will communicate all that out, and I think we have a pretty good deal the way it's done over a 3-day period, not all week, it's done fairly efficiently.
All right, if there, go ahead.
Just wanted, but as we discussed at the last reading on this, we do want to forewarn people that this will not be the only rate increase with this. It is a stair-stepped contract, so unfortunately, we can expect future rate increases as well.
Yeah, the plan would be next fall about this time to discuss that with the council, discuss how we want to approach that, and then this will have to come up almost annually unless you do it for a couple of years. I think we're doing it the right way because we're not increasing for 4 or 5 years and collecting extra than we actually need to pay those bills. We're doing that in a good, I think, responsible way.
All right, if there are no more comments, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1400, which amends the fees for the collection of trash, recycling, and yard waste, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. All right, our next item, and Ted, keep me honest here, make sure, I believe we are amending this to be a resolution, which is 2024-09, which involves our agreement with Waste Management. And Ted, do you have some additional info for us?
Yeah, so the statute requires, once you approve one of these contracts, that you have to do so via resolution. So basically, this resolution just states that the town bid out this proposal. Waste Management was the most responsible and responsive bidder, and it's in the public interest of the town that we accept this contract.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-09.
I'll second.
All right, any questions or comments regarding our resolution?
We do need to hold a public hearing on
Oh,
this. We do,
Oh, okay.
yes.
All right, well, I guess we can do that now. right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, we'll go ahead and, we'll open our public hearing for resolution 2024-09 at, I just missed it, 7:48. If there are no comments, we will close our public hearing at 7:48. Now that we have a motion and a second, any comments regarding our resolution 2024-09?
I don't know, hey, Grant, how many bidders actually looked at this?
We received, well, we sent out plans to about eight different companies total. Some of those were smaller that were, I think, more interested in what we were offering. We actually only received one bid that met the standards back.
Okay.
The only other package we received said, "Thank you for the offer, we're not interested in bidding," from another company. So getting just one bid and getting a favorable price like this, I think, was a real big coup for us.
Yeah. Sure.
And I think it's important also, the Solid Waste Management Commission reviewed this whole thing the whole year, right? They helped with the RFP, they reviewed that, reviewed the bids, made recommendations to the council, and it's been good to work with them to go through this process.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have to do it for a while,
Yeah.
because it was a very involved,
Yeah.
very lengthy process.
Oh, can you sum up, the history with the current supplier that has?
Yeah, so Waste Management took over about a year and a half ago, give or take, from Ray's Trash Service. We had some issues initially, but I think we communicated those issues clearly and reiterated those expectations. Part of them were, I think, just adjusting to the new routes.
Right.
And that's part of it. I think that's one of the advantages of this contract. We're using the same contractor. But to date, they've improved significantly. We've reduced our complaints on a monthly basis probably by 80%. And they don't have as many misses or overlooking. We have really, I think, cleaned those issues up.
And I think it's wise, to let the public know that, that includes, for as heavy trash pickup, we really need to take advantage of that, where they're coming in and removing that instead of putting it in somebody else's dumpster and things like that. But
Yeah.
I think a lot of people could take a lot of advantage of that if they just look on the website, find out when they heavy trash pickup, and then drag it out to the curb. They don't, that's about it.
And it's important to remember there are rules regarding that. You can't have a lot of construction debris. You can't have nails sticking out. We need to keep the people safe that are putting that trash away and also keeping it contained.
Right.
So there's rules, wrapping and tying up and, different things. So, but yeah, it's a great service. I mean, everybody has that one item that's kind of hard to get rid of. And we don't want it dumped behind the garage, right? We want it to be gotten rid of so that
Yeah.
it's not in their hair and our hair and other issues.
Right. Thank you.
All right, if there are no more comments, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving our Resolution 2024-09, which involves our contract agreement with Waste Management, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes 5-0. Next item on our agenda is approval of bids and contracts for salt trucks. I believe we're going to push that to our next meeting, so we'll move on from that.
Do we need to have a motion?
Not necessarily, because take it off the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
So that will come back to you at the December 9th meeting once we've worked out some of the details. Thank you.
Next item is approval of claims and utility adjustments. Philip.
Thank you. I do have requests for both this evening. They span the time period of October 24th, 2024 through November 20th, 2024. The claims appear on 22 pages, and they total $2,057,561.70. The adjustments are for 4 customers and span 3 pages. I would ask for your approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the claims and utility adjustments as presented by Clerk Treasurer.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? All right, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving our claims and utility adjustments, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 5-0. Next up is our town manager report.
Yeah, I just have a couple of items. So wanted to remind the community of the ongoing food drive through, I think it's December the 13th, here in the lobby at the Speedway Municipal Center. That will benefit 2 local food pantries in our community. And it's a really good opportunity to give to those that need help. I think everybody occasionally needs a helping hand, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to give back. To date, we've received pretty good participation, but we would like to encourage more. We have records to break every year. We want to make sure that we're continuing to grow. A reminder that municipal facilities other than public safety will be closed for the upcoming Thanksgiving Thursday and Friday. Also, our town council meetings for the remainder of the year will be held on December the 9th and December the 23rd, unless something comes up that we have to change that. My final item is somewhat of a somber comment. Carmen Lethig has tendered her resignation with the town as our Economic Development Director. It was announced previously this evening in their Redevelopment Commission meeting. She has accepted a position as the Deputy Director with the Department of Metropolitan Development with Indianapolis. That is where she worked prior to coming here. She's been with us for about 10 months, and we wish her well in her new responsibilities. So we'll get on trying to find that replacement and go from there. That's all that I have tonight.
Yeah. Who knows, Grant, she might send some development our way.
Maybe, yeah.
You know,
It will
we're
be
in the
good to
same-
have a friend.
We're in the same county.
Yeah, it will be good to have a friend in that office.
Thank you, Grant. Next up is a report from our council members, and we'll start with Councilor Sarah Gardner.
Yeah, just a few items. One being that kids are out of school this week. I know most townships are in, so just be on the lookout for kids running around the streets. At least mine are out and about, hopefully. And then, so that's going on all week. And then I saw, which I needed this reminder, was no yard waste pickup if you have trash like on a Thursday or Friday this week. Obviously, the town employees are not there. So don't lug all that out to the front of your house just to sit there all week. So, and then trash will be delayed to Friday if you're a Thursday. So just be mindful of that with all the leaves and everything coming down, that you might just need to hold those back until next week, depending on when yours gets picked up. So that's all I had.
All right, thank you. Councilor Harold?
Just really quickly, want to wish Carmen well in her new endeavors. Appreciate everything that she did for us while she was here. Hate to see her go, but the search will continue for the next economic development director, and hopefully we'll be able to fill that role quickly. And then just a happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Hope everyone has safe travels. If you're going out of town, if you're sticking around, enjoy the weekend, get some rest, and enjoy some time with family.
All right, thank you. Councilor Nowlet?
Yes, I'd just like to bring to the public's attention an event that took place Friday and Saturday last week. I think it was a robotic competition that is an international event. There were teams from China, from Canada, and all over the United States. These were high schools that basically brought their robotic entries, and then they had competition for those 2 days, and it was held at Delara. So if you knew what was going on, it was really neat to see such a large number of teenagers engaged in an activity that was really productive. It was very unique, and I was glad to see it. I think they did a fantastic job of they built stands inside of Delara. They had platforms, they had like bullpens in which they would, run the competition in. Very organized. They had actual pits in the area inside Delara where I think it was used to be Indy Racing Experience moved out, but they took over all that area, and they were active the whole time. It was really, I saw you there, Nick, and it was a good event. One thing that I had a couple people call me in relationship to the increase in our solid waste program. In there, it calls out a tipping charge. And for a lot of people that don't understand what the tipping charge is, that's a dump charge. And
It's the charge that we receive every time a truck goes to the dump
to dump
that trash.
So
it's just
Not a gratuity?
No, we didn't. We were not giving tips out there for the trash people from that standpoint. So just to reiterate what that is. But I too want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It's one of those events that you can just go crazy eating all day. So look forward to it.
All right, thank you. And Vice President Sturgeon.
Yeah, just to add on to the robotics competition, Friday, Saturday, like Vince said, I ended up going back a couple times on Saturday and got there for the final round, and it was standing room only. It was amazing. The competition was great. Sarah Fisher ended up making an appearance there during the award ceremony. Really, really hope they do come back next year, because I think it's 120 teams, international. It's just fun. I'm a tech geek. I'll admit it. And just seeing the interest by these kids into STEM, it was amazing. And just even though they've got certain set rules and dimensions they have to make, but some of the innovation and ingenuity to within the strategy and within the build of the robots was really cool to see. So the signature event was amazing. Half of the team that won is from Bunker Hill. they got a ticket to the World Championship in Dallas. So good luck to them. And like I said, happy Thanksgiving if you're doing a fried turkey, so you don't get a visit from our fire department and EMS. Do that outside, not in the house. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and see you next time.
All right, and with that, our 19th meeting of 2024 is adjourned at 8 p.m.